Good morning, this is Angela with Parker's Permaculture. It is a chilly morning in Portland, Oregon for late May. I am up at my dad's house, 1 block from my house, and I had to steal his big giant sweatshirt in order to get through doing yard chores this morning. My parents planted a very formal kind of English flower border garden around their lawn, and I take care of that for them. So I'm up here working on weeding, and daggone, it's cold. It shouldn't be this cold in late May. My basil and my tomatillos and my Cape gooseberries all have a little yellowing on their leaves because they're not happy with temps in the low 40s at night. So I wanted to talk briefly about something that came up on a conversation in a gardening group recently. And I know I get a lot of inspiration or a lot of motivation to talk about subjects based on what the gardening and permaculture community is talking about and what is important to them. And as a part of that community, I feel like sometimes instead of, cutting and pasting or typing the same reply over and over and over to the same kinds of questions, it's expedient to just make a video on the subject, and then maybe folks can learn from it at their leisure, right? Or they can engage in a dialogue with me through this media. So the subject I want to talk about today is the no true Scotsman fallacy and permaculture, which, if anybody knows me in real life, I have a little bit of an obsession with logical fallacies, and I always have, probably because I like speech and debate a lot, and also because I want us to engage in good faith with each other, and I feel like we can use fallacies to kind of leverage and twist an argument into a gotcha. And in permaculture, we should be engaging with people care and assuming positive intent and working as a community. And I feel like sometimes when we employ logical fallacies, we are creating situations in which we are not assuming the best about each other, and we're not working toward our goals in permaculture. Okay, so let me break it down for you. The no true Scotsman fallacy goes like this. Somebody says, "No Scotsman puts sugar in his porridge." To which I reply, "But my uncle's a Scotsman and he loves sugar in his porridge." To which they reply, "No true Scotsman puts sugar in his porridge." This gets thrown around quite a bit in regenerative agriculture groups, particularly by new, highly impassioned people or people that are kind of zealous in their ecological, environmental, or political views. So, and let me just preface by saying food politics and what we choose to eat is highly contentious. So this fallacy gets tossed around in those frameworks frequently. And when we're talking about growing food, it's going to be inherently political. It's going to be inherently tied to people's culture and upbringing and emotions and all of that stuff. So this happened to be in a group yesterday where basically I posted a video that you can watch here about how I use a milk-based spray to support my plants that struggle with powdery mildew. And the reply was, well, I'm really surprised that a permaculturist would use milk. And a dialogue ensued, in which I gave quite a lengthy reply, because I tend to be verbose, about how you can be a permaculturist, a true permaculturist, without being a vegan. The implication was, if you are using animal products in any way, you are not a true permaculturist. That is the no true Scotsman fallacy, or the purity fallacy. So I want to address that really quickly, and not in the context of veganism. Lots of people do veganic, like based regenerative agriculture and permaculture, but also it's more difficult than doing it using livestock. And of course I would respect anybody's right to not consume animal products, but I am an omnivore. I only eat meat and dairy that I know is ethically sourced, and that means I eat a lot less meat and dairy than your average American. But I don't have any problem with killing animals. In fact, I made a video where we were considering getting meat rabbits, and that's still an ongoing conversation in my house. I don't have any problem with that. So I noticed my video on using milk spray for treating powdery mildew got a bunch of thumbs downs, which is strange because it seemed like a really benign post. And then I realized like a number of vegan people were pretty upset about it. So the implication that we can't do permaculture unless we do it perfectly, unless we do it with some level of purity that some outside force has assigned to us, is fallacious, right? So my response to this person was, what if I'm a mom on WIC and I have government factory farmed milk and cheese as my only source of cheese? What if I am somebody on low income, restricted socioeconomic circumstances, and I can't afford organic, sustainably produced meat and dairy, but I don't want to be vegan? Can I be a permaculturist? Can I do permaculture if I don't do it perfectly according to somebody else's definition? The answer is, of course. We have to do permaculture in the real world. So we can live in an imperfect system that has a lot of flaws in it and have to persist and function and raise our families and go to work and pay our bills and seek medical care and grow our own food in a flawed, imperfect, extractive system. That does not make us fake permaculturists. That does not make us hypocrites. That does not make us someone who is not true to our ethics and our principles. So we can actively be working to embrace the permaculture principles and the permaculture ethics and not do them perfectly, and that doesn't make us fake. That doesn't make us doing it, that doesn't mean we are doing it wrong. I would argue that anybody trying to apply a no true Scotsman fallacy, anybody telling you that you aren't a real permaculturist, you aren't a true permaculturist if you are doing something imperfectly that doesn't align with permaculture principles, or you aren't applying somebody else's food politics to your permaculture. I would just say to that, that's a form of gatekeeping. That is a discouragement to people engaging in sustainable living. If we tell people the only way they can approach sustainable and regenerative living is to embrace it perfectly, 100%, right out of the gate, get everything right, no matter what their real life circumstances and financial and health and time obligations are, that if they don't do everything perfectly, they're a hypocrite. Like, I use a cell phone and I drive a minivan. I always say that, like, I love permaculture, I drive a minivan. And it's just the reality of, like, the community I live in is not set up with permaculture design, and therefore I cannot perfectly engage in permaculture design. So I just want to encourage you. I feel like a lot of my videos lately are like, I want to encourage you, but I really do. I want to encourage you to do permaculture in a way that feels good and sustainable for you, and for you to understand, if someone comes after you with a no true Scotsman fallacy, that doesn't make you a fake permaculturist. It makes you a real human being doing permaculture in the real world. And I would also say that other people's food politics does not apply to you. You can do permaculture. In fact, permaculture was originally based on an omnivorous, livestock dependent way of design. And you are doing permaculture right. If you are a vegan and someone comes after you and says you can't do real permaculture without chickens and pigs and bees, I hope you understand that person is applying the no true Scotsman fallacy to you. You absolutely can do vegan permaculture, and you can do it really well. So that both of those cases, omnivorous or ovo-lacto-vegetarian or vegan permaculturists, you're all real, and you don't have to subscribe to somebody else's purity fallacy to be doing permaculture correctly. So go ahead and keep tackling that permaculture as best as you're able, in all of the imperfection of being a real human being in a flawed system that we are trying to reform, and know that you're a real permaculturist and you're doing okay. So if you got something out of this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing and check out my Patreon in the description below. I'm always open to feedback and suggestions for topics for videos for the future, be it permaculture on my own property or more topical videos like these while I am up taking care of my father and I can't leave the property to show you my own garden, or things out and around Oregon and Southwest Washington that are relevant to sustainable gardening and permaculture. So drop those in the comments if you have any, and I'll be back. Thank you.